Hello, everybody, and welcome to this video conference. We're going to be talking all about caring for people during lockdown, and particularly focusing on caring for people without losing the essence of the relationship that we have with them. My name is James. I'm CEO and co-founder of Mobilise. We are a community that is by carers and for carers. So we're supporting people through lockdown with resources and all sorts of support. Hop on to mobiliseonline.co.uk to find out what's there for you. I'm really pleased to be welcoming some caring Twitter celebs today. So we have Matthew Mckenzie, who's based in Lewisham, Emma Lowndes from Buckinghamshire, and Uzo Nwuga from, Uzo, I don't know where you are today.
Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Well, welcome to you all. And I'm just going to invite you to say a little bit about yourselves and your caring journey, just to get us going. Uzo, would you like to go first, please?
Thank you, James, and thank you for inviting me. My name is Uzo Nwuga, and I'm married to Chris for 21 years this year. We've got 3 children. Eldest is going to be 16, then we've got 14, and then 12-year-old, so two girls and a boy. Chris battles with spinal cerebellar ataxia, SCAR7, that's his variant, which is a neurological condition. So it affects his gait, his mobility, his eyesight is severely compromised. When we got married, everything was fine. He was healthy, he was doing everything. So it was about 10 years into the marriage that his symptoms started to become more progressive. And right now, well, he's quite independent, but he needs a lot of assistance from me, family, community. So when I started experiencing this journey with Chris in terms of his symptoms, I tried to look for help, but couldn't really find what would meet my needs. And well, I just kind of toddled along, and I gained experience and I learned some things. But at one point in my life, I thought it's not fair for others to go through what I went through, and I decided to set up iAuthentic. So it's a support forum for marriages where a spouse is battling ill health or disability, and I_authentic. So it has double I at the end to make me, different, authentic. You can follow me on Instagram. We have an Instagram live chat currently on because we want to share experiences with other people so that they'll be able to share their experiences, give tips, make everybody feel hopeful that it's not a negative journey. So there's also some positive and also some real life experiences, because at the end of the day, you want to feel that you're not alone in this. So that's the reason for iAuthentic. But if you want to find out more about me, I've got a website, www.uzonwuga.com. Very simple. I'm a simple person, and you can find out more about me, more about my videos, more about the work I'm doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Uzo. Well, and I think you're absolutely in lockstep with us all here, because we're all really passionate that we shouldn't have to go through this challenge on our own. So thanks for that. And Emma, or should I say Maud?
Yes, that would be the only time I do that. It's a bit rude, isn't it? My name's Emma Lowndes. I am a carer. I'm a carer who works, so I fit caring in amongst working. I look after my mother-in-law, who is about 5 meters in that direction as we talk. She lives with us, and she has mixed dementia with Alzheimer's. Has lived with us for about 9 years. And when she came to stay with us, live with us, she could walk around, come and help us cook and make terrific trifles and stuff like that. But then slowly over the years has become more and more frail. I don't like that word, but it's one we recognise. And now cannot walk, can barely get herself up and down off the sofa. So she needs a lot of care. I'm married. So I have a lovely husband. I have a 16-year-old son as well, who is due to take GCSEs this year. And yeah, a lot like Uzo, when I started out on this journey. I was learning a lot of, I didn't know about caring, didn't know what caring was, didn't call myself a carer. I was just someone who was looking after family. And 3 years ago, I thought, well, you know what, if I can just help one other person on their caring journey, that will be good. But it also worked to the place, I wanted to record what I was learning so I could keep referring to it. So the website, the blog, www.maudandmum.com was born, hence the t-shirt. Available on eBay. I don't have merch. I'm not that famous to have merch. Also on social media on @MaudandMum. So Uzo, I'm immediately going to connect to you. I'm already connected to Matthew and James, obviously. So that's me. So I want to make life easier for carers, and I know about caring for elders. So that's generally what I write about. I want caring to be easier, and my aim is to make it so that you can have more time for the fun things rather than it just being around the more drudgy side of things, which can be, very, very hard indeed, especially if you're on a low income.
And and I'm sure we're going to come to that in this conversation about how it's much more than just a one-dimensional relationship. Matthew, great to have you with us. Can you say a bit about your journey, please?
Thank you very much, James. Yeah, I'm more of in some ways of a former carer, because I was caring for my mother close to 18 years. I lived with her, and all that time ago, she developed schizophrenia, form of psychosis. She was actually a carer herself, so she was caring for my two brothers, her sons, who both have autism, but due to the strain of her mental ill health, one had to be put in, supportive care. And I think just fairly recently, when my mother's mental ill health deteriorated even further, her other son was put into some form of care. Unfortunately, close to 3 months ago, my mum's passed away, not due to COVID, but she had been battling a form of pneumonia, which I felt was a mixture of her, her ill health, mental ill health, and the situation in her physical health, and the situation of medication, which can complicate, the physical health with side effects. Now, due to a long range of caring for my mother, I have managed, close to 6 years ago, with a lot of luck, I suppose, have managed to set up my own carer groups. One in Lewisham, one in Lambeth, another in Southwark, in Southwark, and just this year in Greenwich. And I'd also run a BAME, Black, Asian, minority ethnic group aimed at carers who are caring for someone suffering mental ill health. Usually that community has a high rate, unfortunately, of those using severe mental ill health services. My caring journey has not been easy. It's been very tough. I classify myself as a mental health carer because that's basically what I was been caring for. Although in some form I'm still a carer, even though my brothers are not with me. I am their closest relative, and I do want to be part of their lives, even though it was difficult to try and support them, as also my mum, because I was trying to care for 3 people. But over the years, over the 5 years, I'm a working carer, I work in IT, but I also felt that it's important to connect with carers in the community. It's important to have not only develop the groups, but work closely with the mental health services, which I've been very lucky. I've been supported by my local mental health trust, South London and Maudsley. We have mental health staff engaging with those groups, engaging with carers. I'm not saying it's easy, and this has extended to other mental health trusts, Oxley's, West London Mental Health Trust. I mean, they're the ones that own Broadmoor.
And Matthew, how do people connect to you? Are you on Twitter, or do you have a website? Which is the
I
best
have
way?
I certainly have my web or blog site, which is Care and Mind blog, all one word. So careandmindblog.com. on Twitter, my Twitter handle is @Mckenzie11. So it's MMCKENZ11, and I also have my own YouTube channel. The most recent video I did was on Carers Week.
Ah.
So I was hoping to do. So go ahead.
You're further ahead than me. I haven't been brave enough to build my own YouTube channel yet, which is an exciting thing. And before too long, we'll all be getting a hold of Matthew Mckenzie merch one way or another. I suspect if more than Mum are on the case. Well, guys, thanks again for joining. Let's dive in. So the first question, which a lot of people have been talking about in the Mobilise community, is what have we learned about ourselves during lockdown and in our caring role? And Emma, I wonder if I can head over to you first for that one, please.
Well, I've learnt that I maybe took more upon myself than I needed to have done and potentially should have done. So the sort of double whammy for me during lockdown is that I've had to, work hard from home too, because, I can't furlough even if I wanted to furlough. So, and, I'm part of the gig economy. I work for myself, I have a limited company, so I've got to, generate income, all the rest of it. So I've got that on my mind, as well as, being the chief health officer for the family and trying to keep everyone healthy. And at first I said, right, okay, you're all vulnerable, so I'm going to do the shopping, and then I'm going to do that very early in the morning. I'm going to do my work, and then there's something else I want to do as well. It's a bit entrepreneurial, so I'm going to do that in the evening. On top of all the stress that is, oh my God, coronavirus is bloody horrible, and very serious, and cannot let Marge get it. It would, in all likelihood, finish her off. I've nursed her through pneumonia before, and it's very, she really kicks her. So, and what I've learned is, right, okay, what are the core things I've got to do to keep everyone safe? What can I relax about? What can my husband do? What can Jack do? And just be a bit easy on myself. That's not to say I haven't, I've always wanted to do mindfulness. I've still never done mindfulness. I'm not perfect. I am not putting in as much self-care as I should. Of course not, because it's good. I like my job. But it was how just to take the pressure off yourself a bit, because the looking after bit is so, is on your mind, and the administration that goes with it. Having said that, I've said the only reason I have been able to keep working is that, we talked about, Marge has carers that come in the morning, that get her up for us, that come in and give her lunch and put her to bed. And I pop in between times, do tea time, I do tuck in, and, I'm in and out. But that does take the pressure off. And, we decided, what's the risk of her being infected versus risk to me, or the family about, not being able to function. So, but I was reassured by the care company that they got hold, even after a bit of a gap, they got hold of PPE, very good safety protocols, and she's been fine despite, them seeing a lot of other people. So that's good, but that was a very mindful decision. But I'm very glad I made it, because we as a family unit need other things to keep going as well as keeping Marge healthy. So, and that did fortunately pay off. So it's really thinking, what must you do? What's important, what's not so important, what can you delegate, and leaving that to be delegated. I don't know what other people...
There's something important there about it's a marathon, not a sprint, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly.
Creating something that we're going to have to make trade-offs sometimes with risks, and it sounds like it's not easy to do, but that's something that keeps things going as well.
Yeah. And
Uzo, you're nodding away there. Does that tally with what you've learned as well?
Something like that. Yes, quite close to that. But then I've always been someone who has made sure that I try and put things in place. And maybe I'm a bit of a control freak. I was aware right from the beginning that this was going to be like a marathon, not a sprint. So I valued my me time right from the beginning. I go away with my school and my classmates. We have a reunion every other year. So I don't joke with my time away. But one of the key things I learned from this lockdown was that I didn't spend as much time with my family as I thought I did. So you just think, oh, I know these things, or I've done these things. But it made me realize that we were so inundated with activities that we didn't spend that time together as much as we thought we did. And once we get back from our activities, we just go off to go and relax from the activities. So even though we're in the same house, we're not really together. So Chris was much more lonelier than he would admit. So even though we were there for him, and we were not really there for him. So, so we planned more family times, and we made sure it was something that could be sustained. So once the children go back to school time and going to school and having different activities, it was something that we could still sustain. To give him that time with the children, to give us that time with him, to see how he manages his symptoms, see how we can work with him. So that was a big lesson for me from this lockdown.
Yeah, smashing. Thank you. And there's something about you can be near each other, but not actually be spending time with each other. And
Yes.
and that's a really interesting distinction to make. Thank you, Uzo. Matthew, how about yourself? What have you learned about yourself in the last, 12 weeks today?
Being resilient. I've been through a lot with the recent, passing of my mother. Obviously, there was a fear that, how would I be able to even support my mother during this lockdown, because her mental health was deteriorating even further due to her refusal of taking medication, and she was more likely to be admitted to the mental health wards. But the problem is there's fear of them becoming infected with the COVID-19. In fact, some of them were. And, I did lose an aunt in the process. My aunt did relapse and became infected with COVID-19 on the ward, and I lost her 2 weeks after my mum. With my brothers, I couldn't see them, because everything was in lockdown. So all I could do was phone to see how they're doing. They're only about 10 minutes walking distance from myself, which I thought was good. We've recently just had a review of their support and care, and an emergency review that they've done across in the borough of those in supported care, in case COVID-19 hits those things, as they did hit the nursing homes. Luckily, I'm still working, so I do a huge amount still at my workplace. I work part-time in IT. But the other side is I threw myself in the care support area, because obviously the groups that I was running, the care forums, I usually run them at care centres. Obviously like Carers Lewisham, Southwark Carers, Lambeth Carers Hub, Greenwich Carers. I've had to move them all online via Zoom, and very quickly, because there's a fairly large number of carers we need to connect to and check if everything was going okay for them, and to feed back to us, or support each other in regards to what's going on in their area. And the main thing was to make sure carers get an idea of what's happening to mental health services while they're caring for loved ones who might still be on the wards, because they can't now visit the mental health wards anymore. So what I've learned, for myself is to be resilient and to engage with, with other carers, similar to myself in some form. So that's what I've learned.
Matthew, it sounds though you've learned you need to be resilient, but from what you describe and what we see online, you are very resilient as well, and you must have had a hugely complicated couple of months with all that's been going on, and the fact that you're still contributing to, well, just in this call, the fact that you're still prepared to be giving of yourself is really impressive. And you mentioned that the challenge of your brothers being quite close to you, but equally a very long way away because you couldn't see them. And I wonder, Matthew, whether you could tell us a little bit about how you've been communicating with your brothers and the challenges of not being able to speak to them. What does that look like over the last few months?
Not easy. The only way I can communicate to them, because there's one, hear their voice. You know, it's not been an easy relationship with one of them. But the other, you know, the staff has been fine. You know, they tell me how my brother is. You know, they even let me, if they wish, to hear his voice on the phone. So I can really only learn through, you know, through the phone or email, and that's it. And, you know, I've no wish to put them in any harm's way by visiting. Obviously, you know, that's not a caring attitude. You want to respect distance, the social distancing, you want to respect the quality of life. You know, you want to care, but not to the point where it's a detriment of the cared for. So really all I can do is just sort of just ride this thing out, ride the COVID thing out. You know, and I've had no choice but to be strong, and advise this for other carers. You know, be strong in yourself, look after yourself. If you don't look after yourself, you can't really care for anyone else. Yeah. But it's not easy, because the problem about this COVID situation is you know, it's hard to know, you know, what the situation is. You know, I'm unfortunate to get a little bit political. Is, you know, the way that it's been handled with large amount of people passing on, or large amount of deaths, is frightening. It really is.
And Matthew, it sounds like you've experienced something that I think a lot of carers have had, which is the importance of the relationship with staff who are looking after a family member. Can be really important. So sometimes a telephone call gives you some connection and some sense of what's going on, but actually that update from the staff wherever they're living can be really crucial. Uzo, you guys have it the other way around, so you're presumably spending much more time with each other. What kind of pressures has that put on you?
Interestingly, none whatsoever. So I think it's maybe due to my culture also. So we grew up having to teach our children from an early age to be involved in family life. And so knowing the kind of person I am, I made sure my children were quite independent and also quite supportive in terms of their dad. So quite involved also. So I won't say there's been any pressures. To tell you the truth, there hasn't been. If I'm not at home for any reason that I'm shopping, one of my children can, you know, they can just fall in and jump in and do what needs to be done. I had to help Chris to engage the children. That was about maybe a year ago. Actually, it was actually a year ago that I had to really get him to engage the children. Like, look, these children are old enough. What is it that you want? Let them do it. You don't have to always, if I'm not around, you can't wait for me. You need to get them involved. They need to understand you. They need to know how you're thinking. They need to know what you're going through. So during the lockdown, we're prepared. They just did things. Yesterday, my daughters and I went to Primark, and obviously we spent longer than we should have, you know, and and I looked at the time, I was like, oh my goodness, dinner, and I said, so we had to call my son, he's just 11 going on 12, I was like, put dinner on for you, give your father some food and tell him this is what you should do, and he did it. So so it hasn't been bad, and that's because of steps I have put in place in earlier than now.
And there's two things in there that I can kind of really see. One is the piece about it being a team effort, and sometimes, goodness me, caring can be lonely and isolating, and that's why, even though it doesn't feel like there's a huge team around you, it can be really important to draw on what is there. And in your case, you've got your children who are really prepped. And the other piece that I noticed in there is a piece about communication, and sometimes really deliberately over communicating to say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I need. And I guess that goes both ways, so that everybody kind of knows what they need their role to be. Emma, does any of that chime with your experience?
Yeah, it does. And Uzo, your kids sound lovely. Yeah, it does, because part of the decision about having care, so I should talk to the camera, having carers coming in, was that I wanted to keep the relationship with Marge in that, we can sit together, have a chat together, watch her programs together, have a laugh, cup of tea and a laugh, rather than it always being. Now, I always knew I'd be the backstop. So if the carers get poorly, unfortunately, I'll happily step in. I can do anything and routinely do when they're on holiday or anything like that. But yeah, because I think that's what Marge wants, and it's certainly what I prefer. For as long as we can. So yeah, so team effort. Husband now does the shopping. You're right. It's like, you can do this. I'm even now thinking about handing over some of the admin stuff because he's working less. So that will be really good too. So it's how not to take. It's like, if you want something doing, give it to a busy person. Well, actually, we've got to step away from that. And Uzo, your point about we're spending time together, but we're not together. It's easy to think, well, I'm doing the washing, I'm therefore supporting this family, which is a way of demonstrating my love and all the rest of it. But actually, no one really gives a toss about the laundry, but they do really love having some time with you. So yeah, what's been good about this crazy freaking, try not to swear, time, is that it, for those of us, lucky enough to be with our family, it's enabled us to recontract a bit about, what we tell each other, check in with each other about how we're feeling, what can we do to help each other, and just, as even throughout lockdown, what roles and responsibilities should we have? Because they can bite you on the bum, can't they? Then suddenly, whoa, didn't realise you felt like that, or whoa, that some needs weren't being met or something. So you've got to keep not relax too much about that, because it's better if you keep checking in with each other. Does that make sense?
I think I'm hearing there, Emma, there's something about really good, basically, project management, isn't there, which makes sure that you're delegating all the different things, but also to build in some of that time to be a family. And not just assume that it happens as you go along, to actually be really deliberate.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit like businesses are doing right now, is keep focused on the end goal. So what's your purpose? What do you want for your family? What do you want for your family? Well, let's keep going in that direction, but acknowledge the fact we might just have to adjust, pivot, just do things.
Duck and weave as you go along. So guys, this has been a really good call, thank you, and we've just got a couple of more minutes left, and I wonder whether, if there's one kind of top tip that you would recommend other people in a caring role hold on for as we go through the rest of lockdown and wherever this takes us. What would you want somebody to take away? And Matthew, can I come to you first? What would be the top tip that you would want others to hold on to?
Believe in yourself in this time of turmoil and not knowing what's coming at you. Certainly have faith in yourself, because no one's really going to step in and do your caring role for you. Link in with other carers if you know, you had the resources to do so beforehand, and obviously, you know, get yourself registered as a carer at your local care centre if you can. Not easy if you don't have one in your area. But those are my top tips for now, really. That's what I feel.
Thank you. Uzo, how about you? What would be your top tip to take away?
And this might be especially for where you have disabled partners. There's something I read in an article, and I shared that in the very first Instagram live chat I did with Susan Bone. And it was like the guy said, many of you have disabled spouses who want to do life for. And so just because, you know, your spouse has a disability or ill health, it doesn't mean that they need to feel hampered or devalued because you are doing things for them. So what I would like to say is do life with them, do things with them. There was a time when I was doing life with Chris, and then one time I went over to a phase of doing life for him, and then I now became resentful and annoyed and so many things, and I had to realize that no, Uzo, you need to do life with him. So, you know, people are going to change. You have to be prepared for the fact that they are going to change. So you need to change with them and still do life with them.
Oh, that's very interesting. Thank you. Emma, finally, can I come to you? What's your top tip for carers to keep that family relationship going?
Well, I think Matthew and Uzo said it. It's that, which I suppose will be my tip, which is don't do what we did and reinvent. Don't reinvent the wheel. Don't do it when other people have already done it and are there to help you and got some great tips. Lots of little tips add up to quite a lot of help. So I'm going to put Uzo's blog, Matthew's blog on my blog with some other blogs, and just go and find someone through social media, through, you know, Google, who you think actually, yeah, that could really help me, and, you know, engage with your local carer support organisation as well, because just get help. Don't try and do it yourself. No one's Superman, no one's Superwoman, and you'll be
fantastic. Well, Matthew, Uzo, Emma, thank you so much for joining us. I think 3 really strong tips there. One is to believe in yourself and back yourself to get through this. Second, do life with the person you're caring for. That's really important. And thirdly, don't reinvent the wheel. There is help out there that you can be accessing and learning from. And I think those are 3 really great.
Including Mobilise.
Yeah.
Yes. Mobilise. I was going to say that. I was going to say that also. So
all of this leads helpfully on to mobiliseonline.co.uk. We've got a really, really supportive group of people sharing top tips, sharing concerns sometimes, but also sharing a laugh as well. And you can sign up to our daily e-support package, which has loads of key information, advice, and sometimes gifts of cats falling off a chair as well to keep us chuckling as we go along. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you sharing your experiences. Thank you. So send our best to all that you love, and we'll have some more content coming along soon. Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Okay, now I need to stop recording.